to your left, wave goodbye to those folks still standing in line, because you'll never see them again. Bye! I'm kidding, you'll see them in the line later today. Hey, let's go over some safety rules. If you have a medical emergency, if you drop something of value inside the tram, or you have any sound or video issues, reach up and pull the red emergency cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram. I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during your entire tour, please stay seated, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Remember, the studio is private property, so if at any time during your tour you drop your phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the cord and remain seated. Please no smoking of any kind during the tour, and that includes vaping. And be prepared, our tour today features loud noises, some tram movements, fire effects, and many water effects. You'll want to have your cameras out for great photo opportunities, but keep an eye on them so they don't get wet. Finally, for your safety and those around you, please don't use selfie sticks while on board. Now I'm going to pass it over to my co-host and host of the Tonight Show, Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the world-famous studio tour. I know what you're thinking. Why the tux? Well, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. That's right, 60 years of glitz, glamour, and our own great white shark. As we celebrate our diamond anniversary today, we'll pay tribute to Universal's past and take you behind the scenes to discover why this studio tour is world famous. So whether this is your first visit or your 60th, get ready for fun, excitement, and an experience like no other.
Now we're about to head down the Universal timeline. You'll see movie posters that represent just a few of the literally thousands of movies we've produced here over the past 108 years. It all started on March 15th, 1915. That was the day our founder, Carl Laemmle, invited the public into the studio to watch silent movies being made. Guests could walk from set to set and marvel at the new technology involved in filmmaking, but with the addition of sound and the need for quiet on the set, the original walking tour ended. In the 1960s, under leadership of company chairman Lou Wasserman and executives Al Gorskin and Jay Stein, the idea of reviving a tour of the studio returned when the Gray Line bus tours originating in Hollywood made a stop at our gates. On July 15, 1964, the first of our red and white candy-striped glamour trams took 67 passengers on a 2-hour driving tour of the Universal lot, and the world-famous studio tour was born. We started with 2 drivers, 2 guides, and 1 ticket seller working out of a trailer on Lingersham Boulevard. From there, the studio tour expanded with fantastic one-of-a-kind Hollywood elements like the rock slide and the burning house, which were in this area of the Backlot in the 1970s and 80s. In fact, the burning house attraction used to stand where our fire station currently stands. Off to your right, Fire Station 51, in response to real emergencies both on the lot and in the theme park. But we truly are our very own working movie studio here. We can assist with every step of filmmaking. We usually break that down into 3 different steps. Pre-production, that's the planning phase. Production, that's the filming phase. And post-production, that's like the editing phase. We have the tools necessary for all of that, but most of our movie studio is dedicated to production, or the actual filming process. Most of filming takes place in one of our many sound stages. Coming up on your left is Soundstage 12. This is the biggest and oldest single standing soundstage on the lot. Here are a few things that have filmed in that historic soundstage, starting as early as the 1930s with our classic monster movies. All of those scenes and countless others filmed inside of that one building we call Soundstage 12, but that is only one of 36 sound stages we have on our 400-acre property. You'll see 3 more stages off to your left, 9, 10, and 11. They're all attached to each other. The doors to 9 and 10 are open today, so you can peek inside. These sound stages were used for the show Grand Cruise, starring Nicole Byer. It was a really fun show. It was kind of like Friends. It was in the line bars and a coffee shop. Looks like they've got some vinyl flooring out on the ground there. They'll probably be putting that onto one of our sets later today. Down the way, soundstages 7 and 8 currently being used for the new season of Bel Air, starring Jabari Banks and Ollie Charlton. Soundstage 7 has a long history with us. That's where we filmed the shower scene from Alfred Hitchcock's 1960s thriller Psycho. Rain happened right in there. Now, Bel Air is actually doing a promo event in our Colonial Street area today. We may see a little bit of hustle and bustle over there a little bit later. But here are Jabari Banks and Ollie Charlton, the stars of Bel Air, to tell you more.
Good evening, park behind and entering the front lot where real Hollywood magic is made. How? Well, inside the sound stages that surrounds us, we can create any kind of environment the script demands.
For the past 60 years, studio tour visitors have driven right by these buildings, and inside these walls, the sets from your favorite TV shows and movies have transported audiences anywhere the imagination can take you. Even to a palatial mansion in Bel Air.
When we film Bel Air, we love coming out of the sound stages and seeing the trams filled with excited guests as they drive by.
So, keep an eye out.
You never know who
or what
you'll see in the studio tour.
Off to your left, Soundstage 14. That was used for shows like Superstore, starring America Ferrera and Ben Feldman. Movies like the original Jurassic Park. Every scene that took place inside of a tree in the first Jurassic Park filmed inside of 14. Coming up on your right, you'll see a cluster of sound stages we refer to as Sitcom Alley. This is where a majority of the television shows that are produced here on the lot are filmed. NBC has a rich television history going back over 80 years now, starting with the opening of the 1939 New York World's Fair. That was our first television broadcast. It was only about 10 years after the invention of the television, computer making TV. Since then, shows like Different Strokes, Coach, Angie Tribeca, Family Feud, Never Have I Ever, and all the shows you see on your screen right now have filmed in this cluster of soundstage. Soundstage 19, recently used for 4 seasons of The Good Place, starring Kristen Bell and Ted Danson. Sadly, no Ted Danson to your right today, but off to your left, cheers, it's Ted drinking. Ted's celebrating, he has his own show that just came to the Peacock streaming service. It's a prequel series based in the 90s, and we just got picked up for a season 2. Excited to see the next season of that show. Off to your left, these bungalows were originally built to be dressing rooms for the stars. Stars like Doris Day, Jimmy Stewart, Lucille Ball, Rock Hudson, Richard Pryor. They all used these as homes away from home when they were filming here on the Backlot. These are now used as production offices for some of the biggest writers, producers, and directors in the world. One of our newest neighbors is Kevin Williamson, the writer of the original Scream, producer of Dawson's Creek, who did just a couple of months ago with us. You'll see Mark Platt's production company. They brought you La La Land, Dear Evan Hansen. They are currently working on a film adaptation of the musical Wicked, starring Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Bowen Yang. Part 1 slated to come out this November. And it's the most famous bungalow on the lot, 5195. The familiar silhouette on the front is that of director Alfred Hitchcock. He directed films like The Birds, Rear Window, Psycho. That was his bungalow when he was here on the lot. Currently home to the De Laurentiis Company. That's the company that brought the legend of Dr. Hannibal Lecter to the big and small screen. Off to your left, some of our newer sound stages. One is being used for Lopez versus Lopez, starring George Lopez and his real-life daughter, Mayan Lopez. The other is being used for a new NBC comedy titled St. Dennis Medical, starring David Allen Greer, Wendy McClendon-Covey. She's hilarious. She's in Reno 911 and The Goldbergs. It's going to be a really funny show. They film a majority of their indoor scenes inside of this soundstage here. A majority of their outdoor scenes in the area we've just crossed into. We've just entered the Backlot, where we keep sets that are too big for sound stages, entire cities or neighborhoods on a grand scale. You'll catch a glimpse of New York Street off to your right-hand side. That's the main street that runs through these 4 acres of city sets. Oh, and we have a local beekeeper working on our sets off to your right-hand side. That is Beecasso. He's got an Instagram. Give him a follow. He's saving our bees from these sets. He does so every summer with us. Down the way, you'll see Brownstone Street and a beautiful car. They parked my car here for me. How nice of them. This was used in movies like Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, starring Macaulay Culkin, Bruce Almighty, starring Jim Carrey, and across the street, that red brick building is the main hero set for St. Dennis Medical. When you watch that show, expect to see that set in almost every episode. I'm going to pass it over to Leah Thompson and Bob Gale. They're going to tell you what we're doing next.
Welcome to the Courthouse Square. These sets were used to create Hill Valley and the Back to the Future films.
And they represented multiple time periods, 1985, 1955, in the far, far distant future, 2015. To this day, this is one of the most popular sets on the Universal Studio Tour.
We had a lot of fun making those films here on the lot. I wonder what it'd be like to go back to those days. If only we had a time machine.
Hey everybody, do you think we can get this tram up to 88 miles per hour?
We're getting close. 86, 87, 88. Welcome to Courthouse Square from Back to the Future and Back to the Future Part 2. Now you may notice our courthouse looks a little bit different than it did in Back to the Future movies. That's because we had to change it. Directors didn't want to use this area after the popularity of the movies because they knew audiences would recognize this as Hill Valley. So we built a new facade right on top of that old facade. If you were to open up the double brown doors in the front there, you would see the original courthouse with the original columns still standing right there. Long before the Back to the Future movies, that original courthouse is the courthouse from To Kill a Mockingbird, starring Gregory Peck, as well as the pilot episode of Rod Serling's Twilight Zone. The very first episode ever of the Twilight Zone, titled Where Is Everybody?, about a man who finds himself in a town with evidence of life, like a lit cigarette and a warm breakfast, but he can't seem to find any people. Almost the entirety of the outdoor scenes of that episode were filmed right here on Courthouse Square. And you may see a little bit of hustle and bustle just beyond the courthouse over to your left-hand side. That is the crew for The Voice. They are prepping for a new episode that we'll be filming a little later this week inside of Soundstage 30. All right, we're turning the corner onto New York Street. We call this New York Street, but it can really be any big metropolitan area we need it to be. This was Baltimore in Hairspray Live, Boston in Live by Night, Chicago in the Blues Brothers, even downtown LA in the Transformers movies, as well as episodes of American Ninja Warrior. We've also had a number of superheroes swing through these streets, 2 generations of Spider-Man, both Andrew Garfield in The Amazing Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 2. We're still waiting on Tom Holland. Fingers crossed, maybe one day. But some of his friends have ran through these streets as well. Captain America in Captain America First Avenger, the scene where he turns into Captain America and is booking it down the street barefoot. That was done right there. Now we're getting a better look at our beekeeper Picasso off to your right-hand side. He's saving the bees. He saves somewhere between 10 and 15 hives out of these sets every summer with us. Hey, Picasso. These sets are built primarily out of plywood. It's a perfect condition for a beehive. There are rarely people up on the tops of these sets unless we're doing lighting. So we do have usually Italian bees. They're ideal for making honey. They come in and make hives in these sets here, and we tear them down. We put them in Picasso's apiary. He usually brings honey back for us later in the summer. I'm still waiting on my little jar of honey. Well, we are heading to our first studio tour attraction for the day, but we're going to pass by some retired attractions as we head over. In a moment, you'll see our retired collapsing bridge attraction. We used to drive trams over this bridge, make it feel like it was falling apart beneath you as you drove over. Did anyone ever take the studio tour when that was part of it? Yes, I see the hands and the nods. Very good. The first time I took the studio tour, that was one of the attractions, sadly long since retired. Sitting on top of it is our runaway train attraction. We used to drive that train right to the edge of the tram and stop at the very last second. The one time I get to see everyone on my tour. Hey, Car 2, how's it going? Hey, Car 3, looking good back there. Hey, Car 4, you'll always be my favorite. Don't tell Car 1. I'm kidding, Car 1. All right, remember to stay seated, hold on to your belongings. Feel free to take pictures and videos. Just make sure your flash is turned off. No need for those 3D glasses yet. We're going to hear a quick word from Peter Jackson before we head in.
Project like studios where the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions. There's creatures coming at them. They're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side. Working on a movie, we can always go they're looking straight ahead. They're looking at the shot they're working on. Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions. Also, one of the things about this, a lot of times the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts because it's one giant shot.
Well, we are driving through the area where we had our original King Kong attraction. I'm going to pass it over to another celebrity guest to tell you about it.
Did you know the Metro sets were once the home to Hollywood's biggest star? Right here is where the original studio tour King Kong attraction resided from 1986 until 2008. He stood 30 feet tall and weighed in at 13,000 pounds. Over the years, millions of guests got to meet King Kong face to face as he shook the tram. So close you could feel his hot banana breath.
Yeah, and his breath really did smell like bananas. We scented it to smell like that. There's still one spot in the theme park where you can smell that banana smell. That's in the Minions ride, in the pre-show. They'll spray you with that same exact scent. If you're feeling nostalgic, hop in. Coming up on your right, you'll see a beautiful mural done by a local graffiti artist by the name of Tristan E. He's got an Instagram, give him a follow. This was all done by hand over the course of a couple of months. Here's what that process looked like. Wrong clip. Here, take two.
An instrumental part of the process of designing these murals was getting to go to the Universal Archive. Going there, I got to see in person props from the movies, photos from behind the scenes, original illustrations from those movie posters, all this stuff.
It was used for films like Creature from the Black Lagoon. That movie is celebrating its 70th anniversary this year. This is also the old site of a studio tour attraction, The Parting of the Red Sea. This is based off the movie The Ten Commandments, starring Charlton Heston. There he is on opening day, parting the sea for excited guests. He would drive the tram right through the lake, giving everybody a sea-level view. He had torpedoes and water mines. He also filmed this scene right there from the nude model.
This tram is overloaded. Tell them they can walk on water. It's part of the tour.
Coming up on your left, you'll see some satellite dishes. If you still watch NBC with your bunny or antenna, these satellite dishes are what beams the signal to your television. In 2028, when the Olympics come to LA, the satellite dishes here are some of the satellite dishes that will beam the signal of the Olympics to the world. It's going to be part of that system. And you'll see them, they're just beyond all this shrubbery over to your left-hand side. The two big satellite dishes in the back just got married. Yeah, the wedding was okay, but the reception was perfect. They have a great connection. Thank you for the thumbs up cards here. I appreciate it. Now we're heading into one of the oldest areas on the lot. We call this Little Europe. A lot of our classic monster movies were based in European folklore, so we needed an area that could look like anywhere in Europe we needed it to be. This is what we came up with. This can be Germany, Italy, France, Spain. This doesn't even have to be Europe. This was Egypt in the original Boris Karloff Mummy movie. This can also be made-up countries. This was the country of Genovia in Princess Diaries 2, A Royal Engagement. But most recently, this was the set of The Afterlife in The Good Place, starring Kristen Bell and Ted Danson.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, I've never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, it's a fantastic 4-season show created by Michael Schur. He's worked on some of your favorite NBC comedies. He was a writer on The Office, executive producer of Parks and Rec, and creator of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If you've laughed at any of those shows, check out The Good Place. Off to your right is our Court of Miracles. That's pretty literally the birthplace of the American monster film. Folks like Bela Lugosi, who played the original Dracula, Boris Karloff, who played the original Frankenstein's monster. Some of the biggest stars of the 1930s got their start right here in our Court of Miracles. If you've seen an angry mob chasing a monster in black and white, they were probably walking under one of these two archways. The archway on the left there, the first time we called action on Frankenstein's monster, he was standing right under that archway right there. So a lot of history right here. And our monster movies hold a really special place in our heart here at Universal. They are a major reason that we as a studio survived the Great Depression. It was one of the genres of movies that people started coming back to the theaters to see. And a lot of people have a lot of guesses as to why our monster movies were so successful during that time. The best guess that I've heard is people in hard situations like to see people in harder situations than their own. Yeah, so maybe my money isn't worth anything right now, but at least I'm not being chased by a Dracula. That's the general idea. Yeah. This area has also been used for productions from other companies. Disney came out here to film pieces of Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, the scene where Johnny Depp, right before he goes into the blacksmith shop to have that sword fight with Orlando Bloom, he was running through these sets right here. But in a moment, we're going to head into Soundstage 50. This is where we keep our semi-permanent subway station set. It's almost always a subway station in here, but kind of like in Little Europe, we can change the location of this subway station just by changing the signage on the walls. You'll see the production that was in here is supposed to be in San Francisco. Almost every wall says San Francisco in some way or another. Yeah, no need for those 3D glasses in here. And really, feel free to take pictures. Just hold on to your cameras for me. We won't be returning to this area. But take a look around. Take a moment to appreciate all of the little details in this building. Even like the dirt and grime on the wall was placed there by artists to tell the story of the location and time period we're supposed to be. This is a 2-story set. We have a street set right above us, so we could follow an actor from the bottom of any of these stairs all the way up to street level without ever having to cut. There's also a working subway train that comes in on the tracks over to your left-hand side if we ever need it. Sorry, everybody. Southern California, little tremor. Stay seated, we'll be fine. Occasionally we do use large-scale mechanical effects to bring a scene to life. That room is chock full of them. Everything that you saw moving in there has to be able to do that hundreds of times a day and reset in under a minute to be ready for the next tour. Well, I realized that might have been a little stressful, so we're going to take a nice relaxing break here at the Studio Beach. Amity Island, you might have heard of it. There was a shark problem, but we've taken care of it. We caught the shark. It'll never happen again. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you'll see actually my first modeling job over to your left-hand side. Right? That was the raft. My friend George is the scuba diver out on the lot. He's doing one final sweep of the water just to make sure everything is safe for us. It's George's last day on the job. We got a retirement cake in the break room for him. I saved him a slice. It's in the refrigerator for you, George. He can't hear me. He's underwater. Feel free to take some pictures. Breathe in that salty sea air. Just take a load off. We're not in that earthquake anymore. We can relax. Hey, do you hear that ominous music? Oh no, there's another shark! Who could have seen this coming? Alright, I'm gonna call for George. We'll be fine. George! He can't hear me. He's underwater. George! There he is. George, there's a shark. Swim to the boat, man. Alright, George decided on hand-to-hand combat. George, sharks don't have hands. They have the fins. And the teeth. You gotta watch out for the So sorry, children, avert your eyes. Remember to stay seated at all times for me. Car 2, thank you. For our safety, we're going to hide behind these highly flammable gasoline tanks. Car 2, please stay seated. Car 2, gray shirt, little kid, stay seated. Here's director Steven Spielberg to tell you a little bit about the creation of that attraction.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the tram.
Now we're heading to one of the first attractions to ever open here at the studio tour. Here to introduce it is today's show co-host and weather anchor, Al Roker.
Time for my favorite part of the tour. Weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special effect. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction here on the studio tour way back in 1968.
That's right, we're going to show you everything weather for the movies. We got speakers and strobe lights creating the illusion of thunder and lightning, and a really simple sprinkler system creating the illusion of rain. Yeah, notice how big those raindrops are. It looks like it's pouring. That's because it has to be to appear on screen. If you've ever been watching a baseball game and they stop for rain, but it looks like it's barely sprinkling, it's because most of the raindrops are too small for the camera to pick up well. So we make sure we have extra large raindrops to make it very clear that it's raining when we want it to be. And there really is a lot of water coming down, but I'm going to turn off that effect here. This area has been used in movies like Big Fat Liar, starring Frankie Muniz and Anna Vines. What's that? Oh no, everybody watch out! Alright everybody, we just survived a flash flood featured in this scene from Big Fat Liar.
We'll see about that.
And there's Academy Award nominee Paul Giamatti. And there's his stunt double. Alright, we're going to pass by Jaws Lake one more time. Our mechanical shark works great. Director Steven Spielberg's mechanical shark from the movie Jaws famously did not work great. He first tested the shark in fresh water, so when he brought it out to the Atlantic Ocean full of salt water, it almost immediately stopped working. Caused a huge problem for production. They came back to LA with only a few usable shots of that mechanical shark. But it's all thanks to Steven Spielberg's editor, Verna Fields, that this movie was a success. Verna Fields is one of the very first high-level female executives in our industry. She edited Spielberg's movie so that his lack of shark seemed intentional. And a lot of people say the movie is scarier because you rarely see the shark. You don't know where it's coming from next. Verna Fields won an Oscar for editing Jaws. One of our editing buildings is still named after her to this day because of the incredible work that she did with us. Off to your right, that's our chicken ranch. That was originally built for the best little whorehouse in Texas, starring Dolly Parton. And then coming up on your left is one of our residential street sets. We call that one Colonial Street. It's also known as Wisteria Lane from ABC's Desperate Housewives. Right now, today, we have a new promo event happening for the show Bel Air in there today. Keep an eye on it. We had a commercial filming down there last week as well. Not allowed to say the company, but I'm allowed to say for lunch they probably had pizza. Okay. All right, off to your left, those are duplicates of the Lion Estate signs used in the Back to the Future movies, which were written and directed by Robert Zemeckis, but produced by Executive Spielberg. Executive Steven Spielberg is his full name. I'm going to pass it back over to Spielberg so you can hear another story about his early career.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. It was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom, and when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left, and then I had the entire lot to myself back. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
Yeah, who's gonna try that today? Security. Okay, too many cameras for you to be able to do that these days. Sorry to tell you. Well, we're gonna head into a set from a Steven Spielberg production right now. Off to your left, one of the original sets from War of the Worlds. The main piece in this set, we're gonna see in a moment, is that 747 airplane. That is a real airplane. We purchased it when it was retired for about $60,000. That's a steal for a 747. That's like less than a Tesla. But they always get you with the shipping and handling. It cost us $200,000 to have this airplane cut into 4 major pieces and driven here to the lot. The roof was originally chopped off so we could fit it under freeway overpasses while we were driving it here. We had a plan to weld it back on, but when we got it here, Spielberg liked the way it looked. He liked the idea there was something so strong in the sky, it could rip the roof off an airplane, pull out all the people, and throw it to the ground like it's nothing. So he left it like that. A lot of the really destroyed cars are from our Fast and Furious movies. They've destroyed somewhere around 200 cars for those 10 movies so far. The police car in the middle from Blues Brothers 2000. The red bug from Skeleton Key. So you've seen a lot of the pieces of this set in other productions. In total, about $250,000 to build this set. It was on screen for the final film for about 4 minutes. This movie was based off the H.G. Wells novel of the same name, War of the Worlds. In between the book and the movie, there was also a famous radio broadcast done by director Orson Welles, where he scared people into thinking there was an actual alien invasion happening. So when Spielberg directed this movie, he had to match that energy that arguably one of the best directors of all time created for the radio. Well, we're jumping from thriller set to thriller set. Off to your right-hand side, Mother's House from Alfred Hitchcock's 1960s thriller Psycho. That movie came out about 4 years before the studio tour started. One of the main draws of the studio tour in the 1960s was a stop at our Prop Plaza, where we would let people out and walk around our historic lot. In honor of our 60th anniversary, it happened a little earlier this month, we set up something really similar. Off to your left-hand side, we have props from movies you've probably seen. That giant shopping cart from The Incredible Shrinking Woman, starring Lily Tomlin. It was also used in a Johnny Knoxville production I won't be saying the title of. But if you'd like to step out and take some pictures, feel free. Make sure to gather all of your belongings, including your 3D glasses. You'll need those when you get probably on another tram with a new guide. It'll be about 15 minutes back to the theme park from there. But my name is Ron, our driver's name is Jose. It's been a pleasure taking you folks around Universal Studios Hollywood.
Please exit.
everybody. Welcome back on board the world-famous Universal Studio Tour 60th anniversary. My name is Ron. I'll be your guide for the last 15 minutes of the tour. Our driver's name is Jose. Everybody say, hey, Jose! Thank you, one of you. You specifically. We'll be taking off in just a moment. Watch your left-hand side as those tram gates start to come to a close. We got about 15 minutes till we're back in the theme park. Sit back, relax, take a quick 15-minute nap if you need to. We'll be back in the theme park momentarily. We're going to take off in just a moment. While we wait, here's a few examples of an Alfred Hitchcock showing up in the background of his own films.
My name is Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock was known as the master of suspense. He was great at making these awesome thrillers with terrifying monsters, but not showing his audience a good look at those monsters until the very end of the movie. This is a technique that thriller directors still use to this day. We found out what you don't see tends to be scarier than what you do see. So we still use this technique, even thrillers to this day, like Academy Award winner Jordan Peele uses this technique in his most recent thriller, Nope. He doesn't just use it, he uses it in a way we've never seen in cinema before. Again, these were originally constructed in Santa Clarita, where the movie was filmed. The beauty of most of our sets, they are built out of inexpensive, lightweight materials, mostly foam rubber, fiberglass, plaster, and plywood, so we can tear down almost any of our sets and rebuild them wherever we would like. Alright, we're heading in. I'm going to pass it back over to Academy Award winner, Jordan Peele.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Juke Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Share. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Why? A little further down, you can see the brand new Scar Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. It's not looking so live anymore. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy of a gold rush frontier town lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center of the hot spot. What's a bad miracle? Welcome to the world of no.
Oh no. Okay, I saw this in the movie. We'll be okay as long as we don't look up. Or like after you just look up. Classic thriller. We're not going to show you the monster in this movie until we absolutely have to. And when we have to is when you see the movie streaming on Amazon right now. Well, the biggest difference between action movies and thrillers will create that tension and then break it right at the last moment, usually by showing you a good look at the monster that you've been running from. Action movies are kind of the opposite. With action movies, they make a promise and then fulfill that promise as soon as possible. The Fast and Furious crew proving one more time the only force stronger than gravity is family. That's Specs on Peacock right now. There goes my favorite food truck on the lot. They make the best BLT with avocado. If you're ever on the lot, stop by that truck to get their BLT. Free commercial. We're coming up to the end of the tour. I've got one more thing to point out to you. Just beyond this green gate, past the dumpster, you're going to see a beautiful view of the San Fernando Valley. We are built into the Hollywood Hills, so we get these sprawling panoramic views from a few different spots on our lot. This is one of my favorites. See if you can find Warner Brothers Studios, our neighbors, that line of tan buildings with a golden WB sign in the middle. That's Warner Brothers. Beyond Warner Brothers is Disney and Disney Animation Studios. That animation studio turned 100 years old just a couple of months ago. Beyond that is Burbank Studios, where the original Laugh-In was filmed. So a lot of companies out here doing exactly what we've been doing for the past 108 years. We've been doing it the longest, but who's counting? Me, I'm counting. But our mission has stayed the same. We want to make our audiences laugh, cry, or sit on the edge of their seats, no matter the medium. Whether that be silent film, talkies, movies, television, even our new streaming service, Peacock. There's some great original shows on that platform. Check out Poker Face, starring Natasha Lyonne. It's like Columbo with Natasha Lyonne. It's really good. But none of what we make would be possible without the hard work of multiple teams of people. A majority of those teams are represented by unions under the IATSE umbrella. That includes our writers, our actors, our tour guides, and our drivers. Can we get a big round of applause for our driver, Jose? One of the best in the business. Thank you, Jose. All right, everybody, watch your step on your way out. Toss your 3D glasses in the bins. My name is Ron, but from all of us here at NBC Universal, we hope you have a great rest of your day here at Universal Studios Hollywood. All right, we may have this Tram